Hello and welcome to Next App Social. We are your hosts, Richelle Wright and Joanne Buford, and we believe entrepreneurship is empowerment and are committed to the development and progress of entrepreneurs, providing you with the information you need to build thriving businesses. Today, we are very pleased to welcome Dasia Merritt, the owner of Merritt Financial Services, which is a full-service accounting firm that helps individuals and business owners eliminate debt and grow their income to six figures and beyond so they can experience financial freedom, financial peace, and more. So welcome, Dasia. We are very excited to have you here at Next App Social. So we're going to dive in. Tell us about yourself, your background, and how you got started with entrepreneurship.
For sure. I want to thank you guys so much for having me. I always get nervous about these things, but I don't know why, because I'm like a natural born speaker. No, I'm just playing. I'm just giving myself credit. But I am the owner and founder of Merritt Financial Services. Like Richelle mentioned, we're a virtual accounting firm and we specialize in business tax preparation, CFO, and debt relief services. So I get the pleasure of working with individuals and small business owners from all over the country. And we work with them via social media. That's where we get a lot of our clients from. So a lot of our clients, we are just meeting virtually. And it's so nice when I go to these different states and I get to meet up with them because we've already probably been doing business for years and I actually get to see them in person. So I started my entrepreneur journey just a few years ago. So this is my third year full-time in business and I'm just excited. I learn something new every day. I grow every day. I'm developing a new process and system every day, and that excites me.
That's awesome. So you said you just started this a few years ago, which now when I think about it, like we're, 2020, everything became virtual. So you started a little bit before then, right? So you were already on the virtual train before everyone had to be on the virtual train. I'm just a little curious of like what triggered you to start that journey and do that this way, especially with being a virtual business this way?
Well, let me just say, I'm so happy that I started when I did. I'm so happy that I took my business virtual. And I think it was literally just about a year and a half before the pandemic. But what made me turn my business virtual was the online space and social media and being able to get clients from all over. I noticed that the old way of marketing, which could be billboards and posters and flyers, it just wasn't bringing a good return on investment. Like I would spend luckily, I personally learned from others that that was not the way to go. I heard the horror stories of people spending thousands of dollars on these marketing activities and not getting anything back, not having a real ROI. So I said, let me do things a little bit differently. I started my business, I bootstrapped my business. So I literally started my business with a $700 loan from a friend. He was kind enough to let me borrow $700, and that literally got me started with just like some marketing material and some supplies and my software. Luckily, I was able to put a down payment on my software. I didn't have to pay it in full. But because I bootstrapped my business and because I started with little to no money, I said, well, what would be the less expensive way to go where I could still pull in clients, where I could still reach people from different, areas of the world and be able to grow my business. And online was the best way to go. And I had no clue that people would just pay me money and they never met me before, that they would give me their credit card information over the phone and they never met me before, that they would just be so excited to work with me over a phone call. At that time, I wasn't even doing Zoom. I would literally just hop on a quick 15, 20-minute phone call with them and they were ready to go. And I was like, okay, Lord, I think I like this way of doing business. So that's what started me online virtually, basically bootstrapping my business and starting with little to no money and just wanting a way to not have to waste cash and to get right into it.
So, man, you shared a lot in that short amount of time. And I got to be nosy, right? Because
please do.
Yes, I got to go in on this because a lot of individuals have made the attempt to go virtual. a lot of individuals have attempted to use social media to brand and to market their businesses and take on clients. And I mean, let's be real, a lot of people fail miserably. You know, a lot of people just have not cracked the code. They have not figured it out. And so, quite frankly, that's one of the things that really excited me about chatting with you, because as you said before, I'm from the investment advising industry. So you already know I hung around a bunch of 16, 17-year-old old men. You know, I'm old school, belly to belly, eyeball to eyeball, shake your hand, buy some coffee, take you to the restaurant, watch you eat steak. We talk about our families for like 45 minutes and then use the last 10 minutes to get to the bottom line, right? And you just completely skipped over that process, right?
Yeah.
What did that look like? Like, why do you think you were able to get traction via social media? Like, what was your approach to it when you were first starting out? So you got this $700. Like, I'm not going to blow money on the billboards. I'm not going to blow money on the $200 steak dinners, right? I'm not going to go out and spend, $3,000 outfits of office, hoping people walk in because I'm so prestigious. What if that so you already know where I'm going with this. That's how people do it, particularly in the financial services industry. What did that process look like for you? Like, what social media platform did you choose, and what was your approach to it?
Good question. So I started off on Facebook. I didn't want to overwhelm myself with trying to figure out too many platforms at once. I had a personal Facebook page and I was on there personally, but as far as business goes, that was like the first business page I created. So, there's IG, there's TikTok, there's LinkedIn. And I said, you know what, I want to build my audience on this platform first, and then when I get used to it, then I can go to the next one. So I started off on Facebook, and I really just started off with branding myself, and I'm still not all the way branded. Like I still actually, I was looking at my social media today, and I was like, I'm gonna go change this, and that. But when I say branding, just letting people know who I am and what I do. And then I started reaching out to people. So I literally started with like my sphere of influence, the people that I already knew, the people that I was already connected to. So like friends and family members. And I would reach out to them and I would say, hello, Joanne, it's been a long time since we connected. How's the family doing? And they'll respond back, hey, we're doing well. How are you doing? And I would literally be like, I just started my tax and accounting business and I'm looking to grow it. Do you need help with taxes this year? Or do you know anyone that may need some help? So literally just by opening up my mouth and telling people what it is that I did, I was able to get a lot of traction very quickly. Like literally just being sociable. I wasn't real salesy, and I started off with friends and family. So it's a little bit easier to be sociable because you're just connecting and checking on people and seeing how they're doing. And then I would say, hey, if you need help with this, reach out to me. And those people started reaching out to me. And even if they didn't need help at that time, they would refer their friends and families. Or if they had somebody ask a question on Facebook, like, hey, do you know a good tax preparer? They will refer me. So after I went the friends and family route, then I started saying, okay, I want some more clients, right? It's okay to work with friends and family members, but I want some more clients. So then I started reaching out to people that I didn't know. And same strategy. I would let them know who I was and what I did. I would first learn more about them, let me say, because you can't just, with strangers is different. You can't just hop in their inbox trying to sell them something, right? So I would always do a little espionage, I call it. I would go to their page. I would see what it is that they did. I would see what it is that they enjoy doing. If they just went on a vacation with their family, I would be like, thanks for adding me to your network, first of all, because if they added me as a friend and they didn't know me, thanks for adding me to your network. I see you and your family just went to Florida. How awesome. How was Florida? So I would be sociable and I would start conversations with them and I would get to know them. And if they were business owners, I would say, hey, I would love to learn more about what you do. I would love to hop on a quick 15-minute phone chat and see if it would make sense for us to work together. And I think people were just surprised and they didn't want to tell me no because a lot of people that I asked that to, they would hop on a quick phone call with me. I would learn more about what they do. And by the time we got to the end of the call, they would either be a client, they would be a warm lead, or they would have someone that they could refer me to.
So I love this because it's straight up organic, nitty gritty. You didn't pay for some program, spent $2,000-$3,000 for this program that's going to create 1 million leads for you in a 2-week period of time. We know there's plenty of that out there. Like, you straight up develop organic relationships. But you said something else caught my attention. So I got to go here because I thought this was so fascinating. And I know a lot of business owners are going to benefit from this because I gotta imagine you didn't turn your Facebook into a billboard. It's not like you started posting flyers and pictures and take advantage of my tax services and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just gathering, reading between the lines. That's not what you did, right?
Sort of. So let's say, no, I did not turn my Facebook into a billboard, but what I did do is try to offer some type of value. So the stuff that I did know about taxes, I would share some of those tax tips. So at the time, I would, just put content out there, maybe one piece of content per day that would educate my audience or that would be of some value that would help them, understand a tax law or a tax deduction or help them make and save more money. Because keep in mind, when I'm hopping in these people's inbox, they don't know me. So hopefully they're going to do their research on me too. They're going to click on my profile page. They're going to say, okay, I want to see who this is and what she does. So I wanted to make sure that I was able to provide value when they went and they did their research on me.
Yeah, I think that social proof is like super important. So I'm glad you clarified that, because in the same way, when you were looking at their profiles, you're seeing, are they
Yes.
active? What are they doing?
Yes.
Can I relate to these people? They
Yes.
need to be doing the same thing for you. So having your social proof, I just want to clarify it. So when you were doing these, or how you're doing it, are you using a normal Facebook personal profile, or were you building out a Facebook business page? Or
Good
both?
question. Both. So I have my Facebook business page, but I would connect with people on my personal, because I don't think you can message people on your business page. So yeah, I would connect with people on my personal. And anytime I share something to my business page, I would share it to my personal. That way people could see it over there. And I love the point that you mentioned, that social proof, because even when I was doing research on them and learning more about them, if it was somebody that wasn't really active or they didn't talk much about their business, like 9 times out of 10, I didn't reach out to them, because if you're not actively promoting your business, it's like, where are you actively promoting it? So the people that I did reach out to, it was those people that, share value as well. So I definitely wanted to make sure that when they checked me out, I had some type of value to share.
So I think, Jawan, to your point, she didn't go out to dinner, she didn't dress up, she didn't spend all that money, but she did do all that legwork of the conversing and all of that. And I think
put in a lot of sweat equity. Yeah. Let me tell you, if you don't have the money, then you're gonna put in the sweat equity.
And I'm so glad that you bring this up, Dasia, because so much about social media is about what to post, what content's out there, how to stay consistent. But the real bread and butter of making it work is socializing. And that's what you did to really build everything up faster and faster. So I'm so glad you mentioned that, because it cannot.
And even to this day, I still do that. I still hop in people's inbox and I'm just like, oh, happy birthday. Like, I just sent out like 5 happy birthday posts today, and they were like, that was so kind of you. Like, I just like being social, and it's weird because I'm not like that in my real life. Like, I'm not social at all. I'm very introverted. So it took me coming out of my shell to do this, but I love doing it in the online space.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. So 3 years. And, we've gone back and forth about this. Like, what shocked me about you, Dasia, was just how composed you are in your initial conversations with individuals. Your qualitative approach, that you actually ask questions and listen. you show up on time. I mean, I know these things seem simple, but look, I'm gonna just go there. And is our marketplace? No, it's not. Like, people don't show up on time for Zoom calls. They're typically not prepared. They're not ready. They don't know what questions to ask. There was just such a degree of professionalism and decor that you exhibited that it kind of shocked me, because I was like, how in the world has this woman been practicing in tax and accounting and flown off my radar? You know, I've said that a million times, right? I've been in the industry for 20 years. And normally, if a person achieves a certain degree of success or refinement, I find out about you, right? And so I have to know, like, you've been in business for 3 years, but you conduct yourself and you speak like a person that has been in business for like 5 and 10 years. Like, you got a lot figured out.
Thanks, guys.
What was your preparation before you leaned in, had the audacity to acquire $700 from someone, and then launch your business? Like, what did that process look like? What was the lead up? Like, where did you acquire, where did you sharpen the saw and get to this point?
Good question. So since I was a teenager, I've always carried myself in a professional manner. And it's so funny because people would make fun of me, like, because I never used to wear like jeans or anything like that. I literally just started wearing jeans about a year ago. It's so funny. But I always knew that I would be a professional. I didn't know what type of professional I would be, but I always was like, I'm going to be some type of professional. So I just used to always carry myself in a way that I wanted to be known for. So even in school, if you ask me even how I even got started with the county, I was doing door-to-door sales, and then the winters and the summers just, they got to me, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I want to spend more time with my family. I don't want to be outdoors. And then I got into the call centers and did sales there, and I was really, really good at what I did. But I noticed that, in the leadership positions, I used to just always wonder, like, how can I become a leader? Like, how can I become a manager? But it was like a whole lot of politics there. And if you've ever worked in a call center, it's just like another high school all over again. So I was like, Lord, I can't do this. How can I change my profession? How can I change my career? And my pastor had been on me about going back to school. So I went back to school. And like my second year of school, I had a classmate, and she did accounting work for a big hotel chain, and her job was hiring. And she came up to me and she said, Dasia, you're always so professional. You're so polite. She was like, I like your work ethic. Are you looking for a job right now? And I said, yes. And she was like, do you have any accounting experience? And I'm like, no, but I'll learn. So she went and she advocated for me, and she got me that position. And with no experience, when I tell you, everybody in the department was so mad that the controller hired me with no experience. But the controller enjoyed my presentation, my interview, and she hired me as well. So anyways, I said that to say that I just always knew that I would be a professional. I just didn't know what I would do. So it always started young, just making sure that I presented myself the way that I wanted to be seen, and just making sure that, any room I go in, I want to be uplifting and encouraging, because we don't have enough of that. We don't.
So, you got this job, you didn't have experience, you had done other things in the past, other, careers and opportunities. And like you had saw, there might've been opportunity to move up and have your professional era that way, right? But what was it about this job when you got it and this field that hooked you? Because now you've been doing this for a while and you have your own business. So what was it about when you got this and got in kind of the accounting area and tax prep area? What was it that reeled you in?
It was the opportunity that I was provided with, and this may be something so simple to some people, But like I would work for these corporations and it would just be in beautiful buildings. And I love like commercial architect, like I love like office buildings and office spaces. Like I'm in love with them. Like I know that someday I will own some type of commercial building. I actually have a co-working space right now. But I just used to be in these buildings and I used to be so inspired. I remember I worked for a prestigious law firm downtown Detroit, and I did their accounting, and we were like right off the water, and we had views of Hart Plaza and Campus Marshes and the water. It was like we had views in every way, and I was just like, this is amazing. Like if only they could have paid me more with the experience, I probably would have stayed. And the fact that corporations, they aren't so lenient with single parents. And at that time, I was a single mom, and you know, a 40+ hour work week, it just didn't work because I had these little babies. You know, my oldest son is 15, my youngest son is 10, and I wanted to actually be there with them as they grew up. Like I wanted to experience all of their firsts. I didn't want to pay for a babysitter. I didn't want to have to pay for latchkey and them to be in school 12 hours per day. So my desire was to work part-time. So I would take all of these, what do you call it when you work for, I would work for like a temp agency, and I would take temporary positions because they would allow me to work part-time, you know, 30 hours per week. And I just really enjoyed the numbers. I enjoyed working in the corporate atmosphere. I enjoyed learning about their processes and their systems and how they ran a large corporation. All of that excited me. And I knew that someday I wanted to do that in a different capacity where I would have more flexibility in my schedule for my children.
So I was going to ask a different question, but you just caught my attention. Did I hear you say you have a co-working space?
I do. I do.
All right. So, you know, I'm about to jump all up in your business. Got to go there. So while building your tax and accounting agency, you went ahead and you acquired or started up a co-working space.
I did.
Talk to me, like, how did that manifest? Because that does not sound like it was part of the plan. So I know there's a story behind this.
It was not part of the plan. And if anybody is thinking about starting a second business before you get your first business to $1 million, I don't know if I would recommend it. I started it as a passion because when I first started my business, I started off in a co-working space. I literally just had an office suite. I think I only had to pay like $500 a month for the office suite, but it was sweet because all of my income, I could focus on putting it back into the business. Like I didn't have to worry about these high overhead expenses. I didn't have utilities, lights, gas, water, literally just one time fee of $500, which one client could take care of my rent for the month. And then I could focus on growing my business. So I wanted to provide that opportunity for others. And then I told you, I absolutely love commercial space. I love to build out commercial space. I think I've built out about 5 different commercial spaces. That just excites me. So I was like, let me do this because I want to provide these opportunities for other entrepreneurs where, you know, one client can take care of their office space for the month, and then they can focus on growing their income and growing their business and create that generational wealth for themselves and their families.
Okay. All right. So you just said you would not necessarily recommend it. Now, I've heard like phenomenal stories, people who've done very well with it. And then I've seen people crash and burn like it was ugly. What allowed you to enjoy success in that space? Like, what is the sauce? Like, why were you able to monetize it successfully?
Good question. So I don't even know if I would say I'm monetizing it successfully because to be completely honest, right now, we're just breaking even. And what I'm noticing with the co-working space, you know, after you take care of expenses, I think we may just end up going a different route because it's one thing to have business owners paying you rent monthly and then you get that one-time fee. But then they have spaces like the selfie space. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, where you go and take selfies, you rent the space out for, you know, an hour or two, and now you got consistent revenue coming in each month. So where I would probably make about $10,000 a month on the space just by renting it out, I could turn it into one of these spaces and rent it by the hour and potentially make 40K per month versus just 10K per month. So that may be a direction that we may be looking to go to in the future. But yeah, I would say it's more so of a passion project. And I really had to take a lot of the income that I made from the accounting firm to invest in getting it up and running. So if I had an investor, maybe it'll be a little different. But having to take the funds from another business, you know, I was just so sad when my money had to leave to go to another business, but it's all for a good purpose.
So I don't know, the way I think about the co-working space is I feel like the rent is it's kind of like owning a gas station, right? People assume that you go to the gas station, you're making money with the gas, but that's not really how they're earning their money, right? The gas is just an excuse to get you in there. And then you buy all the marked up stuff, the chips, the Twinkies that are 2 years old, the 5-year-old now laters, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All the other stuff. And I feel like if you're going to win in the co-working space, if you think the rent is what's going to allow you to scale, you're wrong. Like you have to provide some type of ancillary benefit. So in this case, you know, the selfie space, people will pay pictures for selfies, but I gotta believe you have to be looking at like other services you can offer to individuals while they're there, and that's where you're really gonna create the profit.
Yeah, classes, conference room rentals, you know, allowing people to rent out the space to do their own workshops and webinars for sure.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm gonna go here next. You and I have already had a couple of one-on-one conversations about this. And I'm always excited to talk to individuals with the tax and accounting background because I know that's an area where conceptually I understood it because of my background, but I know I had the same negative perception of the tax system and how to utilize it to build as opposed to running away from it, right? We are all these business owners who spend so much of their time trying to figure out ways to not pay taxes, lower their income, play all the games that we know they play. And one of the things that caught my attention, the reason why I was like, you know what, I'm gonna follow up with her, because that wasn't the tack you took with me. Like we had a conversation about how to actually employ the tax system to achieve your goals. Talk about that a little bit. Like, what are some of the misconceptions that people have about the tax and accounting industry and the tax code in general in terms of how it can be an actual asset or friend to them, as opposed to something to be fearful of and try to duck and shuck and, you know, do all the stuff we know people are doing?
Yeah, so I think that you have like a couple different aspects of people. Like you have people that, you know, get really large income tax refund checks, and they're getting these numbers because somebody is, you know, playing around in the system and just putting something on their tax return, and now they got an $8,000-$10,000 refund, and they're like, "Oh, thank you for giving me this." And you know, they file their taxes, they get their money, and they're coming back next year. That was totally. I've seen that in places that I've worked, you know, where people, they say they have a business, they aren't bringing any profit and loss statements, they aren't bringing any receipts. Like they're just sitting down and saying, "Okay, I did hair this year." Somebody put something on their tax return, and voila, now they have $8,000 to $10,000. And I just used to think like, that's very interesting. Like, and it started to become a norm. You know, when you go to different tax companies, and the more I started to learn about the tax system, I'm like, something isn't right with this. Like, you know, and the odd thing about it is, well, the scary part about it is some people don't even know that what they're doing is illegal. Like they don't know that what they're doing could get them in a whole lot of trouble, because if the IRS comes to you and they audit you and they say, "Hey, prove these expenses. Hey, prove this income that you put on your tax return," and you don't have any type of proof, now you have to pay that money back plus fines, plus penalties. And I didn't want to be in that type of situation. That's what started me off on doing my taxes on my own, because I went to somebody, they just put stuff on my tax return, and I looked at my Schedule C and I was like, what is this? And they were like, oh, that's just to help you get back this much. And they couldn't really explain to me why they were doing what they're doing. So one thing that I try to do is I try to educate entrepreneurs, because they don't know that, that's not the right way to go, or they don't know that that could get them in a whole lot of trouble or cost them a whole lot of money in the long run. So what I try to do is educate them on the process. You could legitimately write off tens and thousands of dollars worth of expenses. You just have to be good with your record keeping. You have to be good with your record keeping. You have to be good with your record keeping so that in the case of an audit, you can prove these expenses. So then you have some other people that, they may go exempt all year, and they want to get back all of their money. They're like, listen, I want all of my money in my paycheck. I can use it right now. And then the end of the year comes and they have this huge tax liability. You do their taxes, they owe $5,000, $10,000, and they're scared, they're nervous. They don't come to you till around April because they know they're going to owe. And then the next year they come back and they still owe. And it's like, then we had this conversation last year. You were supposed to change these exemptions and have the right amount taken out so you don't owe. And, they're in a position where they just need the extra money. So they don't care that they have to owe the IRS, they're going to pay you later. And then some people, they just simply don't know how they can use the tax code to their advantage. So what I started doing is, just putting videos out there and educating people on how they could, write off expenses, how you can write off your cell phone bill, or, your meals when you're taking a client out, or, just different type of legal tax strategies. Depreciation is a big one, depreciating some of these assets that you buy, startup costs for your business. You get your LLC, your EIN number, that's a write-off. Professional development and training. If you're investing in yourself, which I invest a ton of cash in myself so that I can sharpen my knowledge and information, that's a tax write-off. You have legal shield, you have legal protection for your business, that's a tax write-off. So just educating them on exactly what tax write-offs are, how they can keep good track of these in case of an audit, and how they can maximize their refund legitimately, has changed people's world, because they're like, oh, I didn't even know that before. Like, I didn't know I could write that off, or I didn't know I couldn't do this, or I didn't know what the tax preparer was doing. So I find great joy in just providing that value and informing people.
So 2 things. You're doing what I used to do all the time. We first started out with Next Op Social. I'm looking at what I'm talking at, but we're actually seeing you through another lens. There it is. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Because you have a great smile, so I want everybody to benefit from it.
Thank
So
you.
also, so here's the thing, right? Because, oh my God, I have so many questions about this. Like you said, entrepreneurs play the game, right? They're trying to not pay taxes. So they're trying to hide their income, or they're trying to not show income. Talk a little bit. Why is that so problematic? Because it blows my mind when I hear entrepreneurs talk about getting tax returns. I'm like, I ain't received a return in a long time. Like, I don't know. Like, if you're 1099, something's going on. You're the tax and accounting professional. I ain't gonna go there. But you hear a lot of people trying to play that game. And why is that problematic for entrepreneurs who really believe the bag is the return, as opposed to the other benefits associated with managing your finances correctly? How's that hurt though?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, some people, they just want that cash now, right? They want that $5,000, $10,000. But let's face it, you can do a lot with 5 to 10K. You could start a business, you could buy a car, you could, put a down payment on a home, you could move. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with it. But once you go from informal to formal in your business, it's really important that you are documenting the true income that's coming into your business. Number one, you may want to qualify for financing later on down the line. They are going to want to see that you're a profitable business. You can't, hide your income and say you only made $13,000 for tax purposes, so you get that $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 refund check. But then you want to go and ask a bank for $20,000, a $20,000 line of credit, but you only make 13 and you probably showed a loss of, 6. Like it just doesn't work that way. When you're trying to buy a home, they're looking at your last 2 years worth of taxes. So they want to see how much income the business is making. So when people get these large tax refunds, even if let's just say it's a legitimate refund, let's say, your income, they have tax credits like the earned income credit, which is for like low income taxpayers. You're going to get back a larger refund because they want to make sure that they stimulate the economy. They put more money into the household so you can feed your family. So let's say you are getting back this legitimate $8,000 refund. What I tell people is you don't have to wait to tax time to get that. With everything going on with the IRS, I still have some taxpayers that haven't gotten back their refund from last year. You don't have to wait. You can change your exemptions to get that money throughout the year. So what that looks like, if you're getting back an $8,000 refund, that's an extra $667 on your paycheck per month. So now that takes you from $2,500 to almost $3,200 per month. That takes you from $3,200 to almost $3,800 per month. 32 and close to $4,000, that's a big difference. There's a lot of stuff you can do throughout the year with your money right now. So to get back a large refund is not necessarily, it just depends. Do you want the IRS to sell your money or you want to sell your money on your own? You have the choice, you have the option, and I'd rather have my money up front because there are so many things that I can do. The IRS isn't giving me any interest to keep my money. So I'd rather go and put it in an investment where I can make a return on it than letting them hold it for me. And that does not have to be done. And not enough people know that you don't have to do that. You can get your money right now.
So what are some of the opportunities that entrepreneurs are missing out on in terms of deductions? Right, because you hear a lot out there, right? Whether it be buying cars. I learned something new in terms of how the laws have changed since I started 20 years ago in terms of how they treat clothing and how you really can't deduct your clothing unless you can prove it's for business purposes, right? I mean, there's a lot of different hood stories out there, right? About what's deductible, what's not. What are some common deductions? What are some things that entrepreneurs are just dropping the ball on in terms of maximizing deductions and scaling their business?
Good question. So, and I would say a lot of times it could be the simple things like, for instance, home office deduction. A lot of people are working from home now due to the pandemic, and being able to take advantage of claiming your home office deductions. You need your lights, you need your gas, you need your internet to conduct business. Those are all tax write-offs. If you have clients coming to your home, I have many business owners, they do business out of their basement, right? Clients are coming to their home. Well, that lawn care, that maintenance, that's a tax write-off. Depreciation is a big one. When I see tax returns, oftentimes I don't see depreciation. And these business owners will tell me like, hey, I bought a new computer this year, or I bought new software, or, I bought a new car. And I'm like, well, where's the depreciation? Like, you're missing out on thousands of dollars because you aren't claiming these. Learning and development is a big one. If you're trying to sharpen your skills and, you're investing in training courses and coaches and even consulting, those are all tax write-offs. If you're hiring, independent contractors or employees, those are all tax write-offs. So, as long as you're purchasing it with an intent to make a profit in your business, to generate cash flow for your business, you can write it off. You can write it off. You just have to be intentional on your record keeping. I always tell people, do a tax planning strategy at least once a year, especially as you're growing your income. When you get close to that 6-figure mark or over that 6-figure mark, definitely when you're at multi-6 figures, there are some larger strategies that you may be able to take advantage of that are not just writing off a bunch of expenses, right? Because we want to
give it to us now. Yeah, I'm gonna go there. I want to hear some of them.
We definitely want to keep your income high because, again, if you're trying to qualify for funding, if you're trying to, buy a new house, You want to show that income. So I just had a client not long ago. You were talking about vehicles. She bought a car, that was over 6,000 pounds. She was able to use the bonus depreciation. She was able to write off like 25,000 of that car in 1 year. And then she still has depreciation that she can take advantage of year 2 and year 3. I believe year 2, she'll be able to write off another 8,000. So that's $25,000. And it's crazy because her tax liability was right around $22,000. When we took that depreciation, now she owes $0 in taxes. So she went from owing $25,000 in taxes to $0 in taxes for a truck that she was already driving. So even stocks, purchase stocks, that could be a very good tax write-off for you. When you're talking about investing, I know a lot more people are investing in like Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. You can use that stuff to your advantage. Health insurance is a big one. As entrepreneurs, we're covering our own health insurance. So being able to invest in that and write that off, on your Schedule C as a tax deduction, that's another big write-off. One was just right there on the tip of my tongue. It's gonna come back to me, but IRAs, self-employed plans, like those are legitimate strategies that you can use to shelter your income, and you don't have to just invest in them by the end of the year. Some of them you can invest in all the way up until April 15th. And one strategy that I really like, with investing into IRAs or SEP plans, let's say, you plan on doing it by April 15th, but you file a tax extension because you aren't ready to file your taxes just yet. Well, that gives you another 6 months to get the income in there to be able to take advantage of that tax deduction. So now you have until October 15th to actually get the money in there. So you don't even have to necessarily have the money right now, as long as it's in there by that tax filing date. Now you can take advantage of that deduction and shelter some of your income. So there are many ways that you can do it. The best thing to do as you're scaling and growing your business and making more money is to get a good accountant, someone that you can consult with on a regular basis as you're growing money and figure out what's the best strategy to pay little to no money in taxes on it.
So as an investment advisor, I was always a huge fan of non-qualified vehicles, right? Because the money accumulates tax deferred. And then what ends up happening is you're not taxed when you start accessing that pool of money that you've accumulated, right? And because my assumption is that, at least for myself, and I'm assuming for Shelly and anyone else listening, that your assumption is you're going to earn more money as you mature and grow as an entrepreneur, right? And so in the world of entrepreneurship, you talk about SEP and you talk about simple 401ks, things like that entrepreneurs can take advantage of to lower their taxable income. What are some strategies you would, I guess, recommend to individuals who are like, look, okay, tax deductions are important to me, but I want to introduce some accumulation strategies into my portfolio that will allow me to accumulate and grow things and not have to worry about the tax implications later on?
I think that's a really good point, because a lot of people will tell you, like, it's tax deferred, right? So you don't have to pay taxes on it right now, but when you get to retirement age, I guess you're just gonna be so poor that the taxes is gonna matter, right? Which is absolutely crazy, because by that time I hope I have enough money stored up to be able to live comfortably when I retire. So that's a really good point. And I think just the planning stage in general, you want to sit down and do planning. You want to see what's best for you, because some people, when they get to that age, they may not be making as much income as they are right now. They may have it, spread out over many different investments, and the income that's actually coming in may not be as much as it is right now. They may even get a C corporation, right? So none of that income is on their personal, and the business pays taxes that way. But one thing that I really like is even like life insurance plans and cash values, and watching some of my clients use those cash value life insurance plans as a vehicle to shelter money, and then be able to borrow from that later on down the line if they need to. If an emergency comes up and they need to take money from there, being able to take it out, without paying taxes on it. So it just depends on what life is going to look like for you. It does depend on the individual, and it does, you do want to do some planning ahead of time. You want to figure out, okay, what is my exit strategy? If I'm making a lot of money right now as an online coach or consultant, how long do I plan on doing this? Do I plan on selling the business? What is that going to look like for me tax wise and in capital gains when I actually go to sell? You want to figure out, what is your exit strategy? What do you see for your life in 20, 30 years? And figure out, if you want to shelter that income right now or if you want to wait till later.
Yeah, you said something that just caught my attention to me. Like it was so huge, and it's a lesson that I'm learning more and more with every passing year. So often we focus on tax filing system, but there's also a tax filing the period there, right? But there's also another period in your tax life, and that's tax preparation. And that's where the value of a CPA and tax and accounting professional, that's where you really get your money's worth, right? There's the planning period, and then there's a period where you're filing your taxes. And, I, for one, am becoming and understanding more and more every single day now, and our conversations have been enlightening, that you actually want to spend more time in that tax preparation season. That's where you really win, right? It's not during the filing.
I agree. Yeah, that planning season, just planning out what you want life to look like for you. Like I noticed that a lot of business owners, they don't have an exit strategy. When I'll talk to business owners and I say, well, how long do you plan on doing this? Oh, I could do this for the rest of my life. Well, could you? Like, do you want to? Do you
Right.
want to deal with the stress and the headache of doing this for the rest of your life? Or if Lord forbid something was to happen, what do you want to see happen? Do you want your family to sell the business? Do you want your family to keep it and keep running it? If that's the case, what systems do you have in place for them to do that? Like, they can't guess what you do. If they don't work in the business, if they aren't involved in the day-to-day operations, it'll fail before they even get started because they don't know what you do. If you keep it all up here and you don't put it on paper and plan for it, you put yourself in a very tough spot. And I don't like to be in tough spots. It gives me anxiety. So planning ahead of time is very important, very important. Even if you just sit down with your accountant once a year and say, this is what I see for my business. These are the goals that I have. What do I need to put in place to make sure that I'm protecting my, not only, paying the least amount of taxes, but protecting my income, protecting my assets, gaining assets. Gaining assets is a big one. A lot of people in our community don't even know how to gain assets or, create insurance for themselves. So just planning and figuring out what you want life to look like for you and putting it down on paper.
So with your business, we're about 3 years old. I'm curious how, what does it look like for you? Is this what you want to do for the rest of your life? Do you have,
No.
how are you wanting to grow? What does business look like for you over the next 3, 5, maybe even 10 years?
Good question. So over the next 3 years, we definitely plan to hit millionaire status. I'm claiming it. I know it's coming. I already feel it, right? The goal is to generate as much revenue as possible through helping as many people as possible. So just even moving me out of the way, there are so many entrepreneurs that can benefit from having a good accountant on their team. There is so much, when we talk about that planning and consulting, I'm able to sit down with clients and help them solve problems immediately, help them look at their business from an overarching view, look at it from a holistic view, and, again, solve those problems quickly so that they can focus on growing their income. Because with each stage of business, it's a new set of problems. You're never going to run away from problems. You just have to find solutions for them. So having someone on your team that you can consult with as you're growing, that can help you stay on track with hitting your goals and can help you move past those hurdles quickly. I see that being a very good benefit. So just being able to help as many entrepreneurs as possible through my journey. And then eventually I want to transition to a agency-based business where I'm not the face of the business. You know, I'm the CEO. I'm the true CEO. I have a team. I have them managing things. You know, I'm completely removed from the day-to-day operations, and I can grow the business in a systematic way that's documented. So if anything happens for me, yes, my family can come in and take over. You know, or if that's not something that they desire, yes, we have a plan to go ahead and sell the business, to eventually be able to offer stock in my business and to go public. Do I want to do this forever? No. The plan is to get more into the technical side of things, technology, build systems for entrepreneurs that solve a particular need, and to be able to grow in that way. So that's the goal.
Nice. I appreciate you sharing. It's good.
Thank
It's
you.
always good to hear the big dreams too.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask a question out of self-interest. Okay, so what's soft, because you said something that really triggered me because it's an issue for me right now. You kind of already know a little bit of what I got going on in terms of organizing things, right? Man, what software would you recommend? What system would you utilize for people who are trying to keep up with the receipts, right? Keep up with the receipts. Because I'm old school. Like I used to have a shoebox, a physical shoebox where I would take all the receipts, order them by date, even by category, and I would put them in the shoebox. And it got to the point where it was like, this isn't working. Like, like there's got to be a better way to do this, right? What are some of the programs you would recommend to entrepreneurs who are generating revenues? They've reached that breaking point where it's like, okay, I got to start planning and I gotta start accounting for my expenses and all this fun stuff. Like, what type of systems or approach would you use or recommend?
Good question. So for entrepreneurs that, are looking to manage their own taxes and bookkeeping and accounting, QuickBooks is a big one. The self-employed version is quick. Intuit has done a really good job with making things user-friendly, more and more user-friendly for the clients. And what I like about QuickBooks is it grows with you. So not only can you keep track of those expenses because you're going to connect your bank account straight to QuickBooks. And as long as you aren't commingling your funds, now QuickBooks is picking up all of your income and expenses, and it's tracking that data for you, right? You just have to go in and be intentional about categorizing it, making sure that, it's going to the right place. But now you have a systematic way to track your income and expenses. But QuickBooks is so intuitive that, you can track your mileage. They have an app that you download on your phone. And when you're driving from place to place, you just start the app. And then when you get to your destination, you stop it. And it's tracking the mileage for you digitally. Talk about game changer. Who has time to actually write down on the spreadsheet how many miles they drove to Home Depot or to go meet a client or to Tim Hortons or Starbucks or wherever you're meeting a client at, right? Nobody has time to do that. So, being able to track your mileage, being able to pay your contractors, by direct deposit. Some people are trying to figure out, like, how do I pay people? You can do that right through QuickBooks inexpensively. When you get ready to transition from contractors to actual employees, you'll be able to pay your employees. You'll be able to get those payroll tax filings taken care of so that you're up to date on that. It's just so intuitive. You get those financial statements so that you can take a look at what's going on in your business. And I noticed that a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't know how to read financial statements. And, it's really sad because that's the backbone of your business. That tells you what's going on in your business. It tells you how healthy or not healthy your business is. You're able to make key business decisions based off the income that's coming in, based off of the historical data. I know that if January is a little slow right now, if I go back and look at January of 2021 and it was slow, but it picked up in February, now I know not to panic. Now I can plan for that. If I knew April, typically gets slow for us, now I'm going to pull back on my contractors. I'm not going to have so much contract labor, or I'm not going to have so many expenses, or I'm going to see where I can minimize some things. So it just helps you make those key business decisions that's going to keep you on track to hitting your goals. QuickBooks is a really good one. You have to pay for that one. So it may cost you about $15 per month, but it's a business expense. It's $15 per month. If you want to go up.
Stop.
Sure.
Because paychecks, ADP, some of these other services that are out there are a lot more than $15 a month.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
because I know for me, like, that is like the bane of my life right now, thinking about taxes and expenses, right? I mean, it's like, I don't even, I did the whole legal pad thing for so many years that I'm just like, I don't ever want to go, like, it's like it's triggering me just to even think about it. How much time consuming, it's stressful, and how much mental energy it takes. And I was literally, and I know a lot of business owners are looking at these other services, but from when I mean, you've like literally almost sold me on QuickBooks as opposed to what I was getting ready to do. As a CPA, as a tax and accounting professional, when someone walks into your office for your support and assistance, which one would you rather them have and why? Paychecks, ADP, or any of those other ones, any of them, right? Because I'm not trying to defer to one of you. They're not paying us, so I ain't gonna get on any free promotion here. But any of them versus people using QuickBooks or Intuit, like what's your preference for people to use?
Yeah, so Paychecks and ADP is more of a payroll software. So it's less of an accounting software. So if you're looking for something to track your income and expenses, QuickBooks would be a good option. I was also going to mention, if you want to go the free route, and of course, invoicing, right? Invoicing is a big thing for people, you know, when you're looking to go from informal to formal in your business. I was just talking to a client today, and she said that she got her first client, and I was like, oh, okay, how much was the invoice? And she was like, oh, I didn't send an invoice. I was like, well, how did she pay you? She was like, oh, she sent it through PayPal. And I said, oh, okay, well, how are you going to track that? And she was like, I'll probably write it down somewhere. So, you know, when you're using these invoicing softwares, or when you're using the accounting software, you know, they have invoicing for you, and you want to create an invoice for every single dollar that comes in your business. I tell my clients all the time, create an invoice for every single dollar that comes in your business. I could tell you my very first dollar that I made in my business and the date that I made it. And it just tracks that historical data. So when you're looking for an overall accounting software that's going to grow with you and have more functions for your accounting system, QuickBooks is really good. I was also going to recommend Wave accounting software. If people wanted just a free route, something to start off with, you can still do invoicing through there. You can track your income and expenses. It doesn't have as many bells and whistles as QuickBooks, but it's a really good software. And then lastly, I'm gonna say, if you're a scaling entrepreneur, so if you're at 6 figures, multi 6 figures, go ahead and outsource it. Outsource your accounting and bookkeeping. I mean, it just depends on the individual and how organized you are. A lot of business owners that I work with, they aren't that organized. So, you know, if you want the responsibility of managing your business finances, I mean, you can do it yourself, right? But when you're scaling and you're focused on, you know, getting to that multi 6-figure mark, getting to that $1 million mark, look into outsourcing it, because it'll save you so much time, and it's not that expensive, but it saves you so much time, and you have accurate financial data. Imagine trying to reconcile your books and trying to, you know, just track your income and expenses, and you're not an accountant. You don't necessarily know what to look for. You know, you could be leaving thousands of dollars on the table just by misclassifying deductions or not classifying them properly. So eventually you want to look into outsourcing it and getting help and support as you're growing your business.
Awesome. So we're hitting towards the end here. So we have a couple questions that we ask everyone when we get towards the end, just to kind of wrap up on a very positive note. It's been a very positive conversation as it is, though.
Thank you.
So our first one is, what would you consider your superpower to be?
I would consider my superpower to be listening. I'm a really good listener, I think.
I think that's a great superpower.
I think that so many people do so much talking, and you know, if you're doing all the talking, you kind of lost the conversation, because Now they could be listening, they could not be listening, but what is it that they want to see for their business? What are their goals? Like, how do they want to grow their business? What problems do they have? Like you can't determine, and a lot of entrepreneurs do this, like they'll start a business for something that's a passion for them. But it's like, have you went to the market and did research to see if the market wants this product or if the market wants this service? That's the difference between a profitable business and a not profitable business. Are you solving a problem that your ideal client has right now? So I think being a good listener allows you to, ask the right questions to figure out where they are and where they're looking to go, and to determine if you can help them bridge that gap.
Yeah, absolutely.
You said so. I just got to clarify this because I thought it was so classy the way you said it. You keep toggling between formal and informal, and I know what you mean, but I had to clarify it for our listening audience. When you're saying informal, let's be real. You're talking about under the table, off the books, hustling.
Yeah, I am. It's funny. I was just talking to my son about this today, and we were talking about entrepreneurship. And I said, you know what, son, for the longest time, I treated my business like a side hustle. And when I treated my business like a side hustle, I wasn't making any money. I was working in accounting. I was making about $45,000 per year. And because my business was a side hustle, because it was informal, I would make an additional $10,000, maybe $20,000 per year. Okay, so that would take me to $55,000, $65,000, and it would help, right? Because at least I just don't have that salary. I had that extra $10,000, $20,000 to play with. But once I went from informal to formal in my business, and when I say going from informal to formal, I mean legitimizing things, right? Making sure that you're registered with your state, making sure that you're registered with the federal, filing your taxes properly, putting processes and systems in place to actually run your business like a corporation, not like a mom and pop shop, nothing wrong with mom and pop shops. There are some formal mom and pop shops, let me take that back. But, when I stopped running it like a side hustle, I 5X'd my income, very quickly. This year, I already know our numbers are going to be through the roof because of the systems that we've been able to put in place, taking our business formal.
All right, I'm sorry, Rochelle. Because she about to, she's about like, okay, Juwan. All right.
So you've given us lots of like unbelievable advice, and really, I think you might have even already answered this next question in various different ways, but if there was one very important lesson that you wanted to leave our listening audience with regarding entrepreneurship, right? What would that be? It might be legitimizing it, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, definitely go from informal to formal in your business right away. If you don't know what that means, reach out to me. I'll help you get there, right? But if I could offer one piece of advice, if you're stuck in your business, I hear so many entrepreneurs like, I'm trying, I'm just not getting anywhere. Like, get some help and support. When the pandemic happened, there was an increase in online coaches and consultants. There was an increase in business owners, but especially, people that are offering help to help you grow your business, people that have the strategies and framework in place, people that are a few steps ahead of you, right? And they can give you those systems to put in place, those processes to put in place to go from informal to formal that will help you, 10X your business, 5X, whatever. It'll help you increase your revenue a lot faster. So if you're struggling, if you're having trouble increasing your income and growing your business, find the help and support. There are so many free avenues out there. You got SBA. I'm in Detroit, so I'm connected with the Osborne Business Association, which offers a ton of resources and valuable help for business owners. for free, right? When I was growing my business, I took class after class after class, and these classes were free to help business owners grow their business. And it would be shocking, how many people attended. It would be a handful of people, but I know I was one of those people. They're getting the resources and asking the questions. So get the help and support that you need. Don't try to do this alone. Don't stay on that struggle bus. Get the help and support you need.
Perfect. So if people want to learn more about you, your business, hire you for your services, what is the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Great question. Thank you for asking. Well, the tax filing season is here. So if you need help with business tax preparation, with individual tax preparation, cleanup, bookkeeping, so you don't have to come into the office with a box full of receipts, because I'm gonna look at you like, what are we about to do with this? If you need help getting organized for the tax season, if you need help, planning out what taxes looks like for you, I would say reach out to us via our website. You can go to www.merrittax.com. That's MERRITTAX.com. We're also on social media at #MerrittTax. If you're on IG, if you're on Facebook, you can find me as Dasia Merritt, DASIA, my last name MERRITT. But yes, or give me a call. You can give me a call at 248-461-7572, and I'll be happy to lead you in the right direction.
Perfect. Well, thank you again, Dasia, for joining us here today. We're going to put
so much fun.
Yes, it was great. And we're going to put all those links here in our show notes below, so that way you can reach out to her and get organized, which is a very crucial time of year to do that as well. We will be sharing this conversation even more and talking more with our next App Social after show group on Facebook. We invite everyone watching to join us there. The link is also here in the description at this video, or you can head to Facebook, go to our next App Social page, click community, and we'll be happy to have you inside. Don't forget, hit that subscribe.
After show.
What?
After show. Because they go to Next App Social, we have a page, but then it's their after show group.
Yes. So if you go to our Next Up Social Facebook page, if you click community, you will see the after show group. Don't forget, make sure to hit that subscribe button here on our YouTube, or visit our website at nextupsocial.com to learn more. Thank you again, Dasia. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Perfect.